There are organizations out there that are leveraging Salesforce in powerful ways. Trailside Talk is here to shine a light on their successes and their stories.
I'm your host, Hannah Thompson. Join me on the trail to CRM success as we dig into some real-life, high-impact journeys, from challenges to triumphs and everything in between. Let's explore this story together. Welcome to Trailside Talk. I am joined today by Christina Karnatz, Director of Development for the Fayetteville Public Library Foundation, which acts as the Fayetteville Public Library's philanthropic partner, fundraising and managing donations that are essential to helping the library strengthen Fayetteville's community and empower its citizens through free and public access to knowledge. We at WhiteRock really value our partnership with the Fayetteville Public Library Foundation and with you, Christina. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy. I'm happy to chat with you. Always happy to chat about what we do here at the library and for the foundation.
Awesome. Well, thank you. To kick us off, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
So me, I am born and raised in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Grew up coming to the Fayetteville Public Library. It was part of my of the Saturday routine that my mom and I would go get McDonald's pancakes and go to the library for story time and to check out books. So the library has always been a part of my life. And I went to high school here. I was on my high school newspaper, went to the University of Arkansas, decided that I wanted to do journalism for my undergraduate degree, and did that along with some work in accounting too. So I have a minor in accounting as well. So interesting kind of combination there. But my mom taught in the accounting department, so it just seemed like natural. What else? I mean, after college, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. I had an accounting job for a little while, wound up actually waiting tables, like a lot of maybe 20-somethings do. And my stepfather saw me interacting with guests at the restaurant that I worked at, and he said, "Hey, you might consider fundraising." At the time I was like, 25, 26, kind of like, what am I going to do with my life? And he suggested getting into fundraising. And that's the path that I followed. Fundraising is all about building relationships with people and multitasking. And that's exactly what, being a server is as well, and so he saw those skills. And I don't know if I would have gone this route had it not been for him. Anyway, here I am now working at the Fayetteville Public Library.
That's awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about how the library serves the Fayetteville community?
Yeah, it's really changed a lot over the last couple of decades, and especially in the last 5 years. But at its most base level, we are a place where people can come and they can find information and resources that they might not be able to find elsewhere. We have books on every topic you could possibly imagine. We have computers and spaces for people to be able to utilize the internet and things like that, just the basics. But then we also have, I mentioned story times. That was, back in the 80s, but we still have story times. We still do those. It's crazy the things that we have here at the library. We have a Center for Innovation that has a photography studio, a recording studio, a video studio. It's really nuts. And I could sit here and list all of the resources that the library has, but it would probably take a couple of hours. So
that's wonderful. Can you share with us some of the largest impact milestones the library has had on Fayetteville's community?
Yeah, I think one of the most exciting things, and one of the things that we're excited for now that the weather is warming up and we're able to get out and about, is our FPL on wheels, our bookmobile. So we have a van, a bookmobile that is retrofitted with a really great awning and special shelves so that we can take the library out into the community and meet people where they are. There are a lot of barriers to getting to the library, whether that's, transportation, just lack of knowledge about the services that we provide. And so the goal with the bookmobile is to take the library out to where the people are. And so we have stops at, low income apartment complexes, senior living facilities, and just local parks. And we're really, I mean, that was a huge thing that was probably almost 10 years in the works. And thanks to grant funding, we were able to kick that off, and we're really ready to hit the ground running this spring.
It's really neat. Yeah, really special for the people who live in Fayetteville. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are your biggest accomplishments over the past year?
So one of the things that I am personally excited about, and for the development and foundation team, is that we finished a capital campaign. The office that I'm sitting in right now, which you can't see because of the books behind me, but it's really beautiful and sunny. And this is part of the library expansion. So in 2021, we opened a 100,000 square foot expansion to the Fayetteville Public Library. And part of that was raising funds privately. So some of that was paid for by public dollars through a millage campaign, and the other half was raised by the foundation, raised privately. And in November of last year, we secured the final $2 million gift that allowed us to complete the capital campaign, pay off the expansion, and now then we can celebrate that and focus on what's next for the library.
That's fantastic.
It's kind of insane to think about the footprint that we have now. And I mean, there's something for everybody at the library. I mean, it's not the library that you think of when you think about where you went to go check out your children's books, your picture books when you were a kid. I mean, there's just really something for everybody here.
That's so wonderful. What are you guys working on for 2025?
Oh, wow. I mean, we have some annual events that we're really excited about that are coming up this spring. Library Giving Day is a national day where the public is able to support their local library through donations. The foundation has its third annual fundraiser on April 12th. It's really fun. Y'all should come. WhiteRock should totally get a team and come up here. But it is an indoor putt-putt tournament. So we have putt-putt forms that are all throughout the expansion of the library. And so, which is pretty much the youth area. And so this is an opportunity for adults to come out and get to have fun in what is normally reserved for children. And we get to play games and raise money for the library. That's happening on April 12th. And then one of the things that the library likes to do for the community is to bring in, we have local author talks throughout the year. But one time each year, we bring in a special best-selling, bigger name author. And this year on June 5th, we have Amor Tolles coming to visit Fayetteville. He is the author of books like The Lincoln Highway and A Gentleman in Moscow. So that's an exciting event on June 5th. It's really a lot of event-based things that we're focusing on in 2025, and really just stewarding the donors that we've acquired. We've had a lot of new donors in the last few years, so just really stewarding them, building up our communication with them, and making sure that they want to stick around with the library and the foundation for years to come. And now that we finished that capital campaign, we're just going to kind of relax for a little while.
That's fair. That's a lot of really, really neat events and outreach coming up. That's awesome. Yeah. What is your methodology for managing change?
I think it's difficult to do, but if you can anticipate change and just sort of be ready, I think that's the easiest way to sort of handle the ups and downs that come with any major change. We know that change is inevitable. So if you can sort of, plan as much as you can, for what you may or may not know, having like, a disaster recovery plan, or just having a communications plan in place, something that you can like access when change happens, some sort of resource that you have. That makes my life a lot easier. I'm the type of person that likes to be able to check things off a list. And so having some sort of thing that I can pull up and be like, okay, like what can I do in this particular situation? And just sort of going through my list of things. I know that's not always possible. I think that managing change also, just sitting back and don't like just kind of sit back and just assessing and taking a deep breath and just sort of seeing things that you can control and what you can't control, and not focusing on the things that you can't control, and really just focusing on what you can control. And I think it's really important as a leader in the organization to try to provide as much information to the team as possible. When change happens, it can be scary, whether it's positive or negative. I think a lot of people go directly to, how does this impact me? And so I think just reassuring a team, giving individuals as much information as you can about whatever's happening, I think can really build trust and therefore, make things easier on everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's a really, really good outlook, and just, the transparency side. I think that's a great way to handle it. Kind of shifting into some questions about our partnership a little bit more here.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, how does the Fayetteville Public Library Foundation leverage the value of your Salesforce system?
Well, so Salesforce, we utilize it as our CRM for our donors, so our donor database. That's where we track all of our donor relationships, all of the campaigns that we might have going on. If we're raising money for a specific program or a project, we can easily tag a gift and be able to and reference that there. And then we also do a lot of our grant tracking through Salesforce. It is a really great tool to allow us to track our interactions with donors. So we can go in there and I can be like, oh yes, I saw Susan Hall at that reception, and here's what we talked about. And that might be something really like little, but it's really important to have that information there, just in case I forget, or in case like one of my coworkers sees Susan Hall someplace else and is able to be like, oh yeah, like you attended that reception. And because fundraising is all about relationships, having a CRM that tracks all of that so that you can really nurture your relationships is very important.
Absolutely. Fantastic way of leveraging, leaning into your tools for sure. How has WhiteRock helped you guys leverage that value of your Salesforce system, maybe in relation to streamlining processes?
From the very beginning, I don't think like with getting Salesforce, I really knew like what we were getting into. It is a fully customized tool. And without WhiteRock, I never would have been able to, I wouldn't have known what to do with integrating from our old CRM to the new one. I would have been literally lost. I was lost. And so I really needed WhiteRock to be able to just to build it. And I really wouldn't have known what to do without having WhiteRock. So I needed them just to do the basics, just to, how do I input a check? How do I input a gift? How do I even put in a new donor? How do I make sure that all the old stuff gets integrated to the new system? I would not have been able to do that without WhiteRock. So that's just the basics. But then we're a little bit different in that, we're not your typical nonprofit. We're this arm of the library. And so there were a lot of unique needs, and WhiteRock was able to, I think, have a lot of patience with us, and still has a lot of patience with us in helping us build everything and making sure everything is as streamlined as possible.
So I'm so glad our team's been able to support you guys in a way. That's what we're here for. So glad to hear it.
Yeah.
How has WhiteRock helped the Fayetteville Public Library Foundation overcome integration issues between Salesforce and Sage Intacct?
Yeah, I feel like you should probably talk to the accounting team about some of the Sage stuff, because that is their world. My world is Salesforce, and theirs is the Sage world. But WhiteRock again has played a really pivotal role in making sure that everything has been mapped between the two systems, because the library is a quasi-governmental agency. We have audits every year, and it is so important that everything flows from the foundation side to the library accounting side. And WhiteRock has been, again, just pivotal in making sure that all of those things flow seamlessly, and really even improving the way that things flow, helping us improve accuracy and maybe even eliminating some steps that we were doing that were redundant. I definitely think that WhiteRock has helped us with making reconciliations more efficient. Before we had Salesforce and Sage connected, our accounting team was printing off Excel spreadsheets from Salesforce or from our previous CRM and was doing reconciliations that way. And so this integration has totally it's removed that tedious step. Nobody wants to have paper and pen anymore, when you can have things just connect seamlessly and not have to worry about missing anything.
So glad we could be a help on that front as well. On the communication and accountability side, what would be your description of the work that you do with WhiteRock in that realm?
Not to call anybody out, but we did have through that whole Sage integration process, we did have somebody on the accounting side, an external partner, and our representative with them kept changing. So there was never that consistent person on the project. And with WhiteRock, we had a consistent person, we have Logan and we had that consistent person and he, it's just great to be able to know exactly who we're talking to, know exactly what they know, and not have to worry about catching somebody up or, are they even going to email us back? So, WhiteRock has been very responsive, very quick to dive in, really at all hours of the night, even to try to help us solve our issues. I think that they've listened to our challenges, when things come up, and we're like, well, this isn't mapping correctly. This still isn't mapping correctly. They listen to it and they present thoughtful solutions.
I know that can be frustrating when you don't feel like you're being listened to or that you're not getting the support that you need. So I'll have to pass that along to Logan.
Logan's been our person.
Is there a high point in your mind when you knew that our work together was creating an impact?
I think just recently, because a lot of the building of the system and the integration with Sage has taken a lot of time, we've just now really refined, and are still kind of working on refining that process. But we do annual renewals. So if you gave in January of 2024, then in January of 2025, we would like to send you a letter and say, hi, thank you for your gift last year. It's time for you to make another gift to the library. Thank you so much. And that is something that we have been tracking through various sheets on an Excel spreadsheet. And you can imagine it's really, really tedious. And WhiteRock has helped us build a system to where we can automate those donor letters. So it used to take a lot of manual entry. And again, we're still working on this, but hopefully that we'll be able to generate those letters quickly and accurately and keep those gifts coming in consistently.
How has this partnership with WhiteRock contributed to growth and development for you guys?
I mean, just one of the main things is time. Improving our data management, improving those systems cuts back on the amount of time that we are spending behind a computer instead of being out and about building relationships. So, that's really my role. They say, a good development director is never in their office because they're out and about, they're talking to people. And so my time is much better spent, just typing in a few buttons and then hitting the road and going to talk to somebody. And so I think just helping us refine those data management systems and getting us out and about where we need to be, talking to our people is probably one of the biggest things that WhiteRock's helped us do.
Well, I'm so glad to hear it. How do you guys measure the success of WhiteRock solutions?
I mean, I think it's some of the things that we've already talked about. The success of processes, the timeliness of communications, how quickly we can email and be like, hey, we have this issue. And then, how quickly does WhiteRock get back to us? And I mean, I think that we've already proven that that's been very successful so far. I think how accurately do those reports that we run in Salesforce, how accurate are those? If they're accurate, then I think WhiteRock is doing what they're supposed to be doing and making sure that our things are all lining up. I think that in the last couple of years, we've been able to increase the number of donors that we have. We've also improved our donor retention. So I think just from like the goals that I have, like as a department that really have nothing but yet everything to do with the technology, I think that those the growth there is evidence of the success of our relationship with WhiteRock.
What advice would you give to an organization considering a Salesforce partner like WhiteRock?
For us, obviously you need somebody that understands the tool, like what is your success in working with Salesforce? You want to understand the business's background with that. But then I think also, like for us, we're a nonprofit, so it's really important that your cultures sort of match, or that you have an understanding of the nonprofit world, of also caring about the community. I think that was really important for us. So if you're a nonprofit, I think just understanding the culture of an organization that you were thinking about working with is important.
That's a great point about cultural fit. What advice would you give to someone in your role at another organization?
I think that the most important thing, and I've mentioned it a few times here, is just to really focus on relationship building. You need to focus on relationship building with your donors, but then also with the staff, your internal staff. I mentioned the accounting team. We also have a development team. Shout out to Lauren, who's worked a lot with WhiteRock on our Salesforce integration process. But I think just making sure that internally, externally, with donors, with the staff, with organizations like WhiteRock, relationship building is really one of the most important things. So I think that's number one, focus on your relationships. And then also making sure that Salesforce routinely going back and checking to see that your tools are giving you what you need. Because if they're not, you can ask somebody like WhiteRock to figure it out and help you make it work and give you the data that you need, so that you can be out there building those relationships that are so important. I think that I have sometimes been like, well, WhiteRock is working on something already. And so my advice also would be like, don't be like that. Like, even if they're working on something, go ahead and shoot that email and say, hey, I have an idea about something else. Just go ahead and shoot it out there so that Logan or whoever can start thinking about that. So don't be afraid to lean on your partner.
Absolutely. That's really good advice. Well said. Thank you for sharing. As we kind of prepare to wrap up here, is there anything else that you want to share with those tuning in?
I don't think so. Just check out your local library, wherever it is. They are a wealth of resources that you might not even know are there. So go check out your local library, and you might even learn about tools like Salesforce while you're there.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite book or resource that you would recommend?
I think from like a work professional development perspective, I really liked the book Unreasonable Hospitality. And it's by, I can't pronounce his last name, but Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Gareda, I think. But it's all about his sort of work in a restaurant group in New York City. And so it's about going above and beyond to ensure that your guests, your patrons have the best experience ever, to keep them coming back, make somebody else's day, and they'll give back tenfold.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one for sure.
And also coming from the restaurant world, it was really interesting too, because he talks a lot about just the behind the scenes at some of these really fancy 5-star Michelin star restaurants. And it was really interesting too, to just kind of get that kind of behind the scenes, back of the house perspective too.
Definitely. How can those tuning in get in contact with you if they'd like to?
Oh, you can find me at the Fayetteville Public Library in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Our website is faylib.org, faylib.org, and you should be able to find me there. Or you can find me here on April 12th, Rooting the Greens.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, yeah, just to close us out here, Christina, it's really such a pleasure to get to partner with you and your team at the Fayetteville Public Library Foundation. We really enjoy working with you guys, and I really enjoy getting to hear more of your story and just more about the library's impact on the community. So thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for your interest.
Well, that concludes another exciting episode of Trailside Talk. Thanks for joining, and see you on the next trail.